In the Sudan, there are two sides killing each other. We've evacuated everybody. What are they fighting about? Claire, the Sudan is melting down. Foreign nationals are being evacuated by all their affiliated countries around the world. The United States, in particular, has managed to evacuate nearly 1,000 people since the fighting began 2 weeks ago. Planes and helicopters are coming in from Saudi Arabia to Port Sudan and back. Convoys are coming. The U.S. Embassy was evacuated. The U.S. State Department is saying everybody's got to get out. Now they've pulled out another 5,000 people of 100 nationalities. Tell us what's going on. I mean, the fighting only started a few weeks ago, right? And on one side, you've got the Sudanese armed forces, and then there's the paramilitary rapid support forces, and then there's opposition to civilian rule and support for civilian rule. Can you explain why these people are all killing each other? And from an American perspective, thinking about our foreign policy, why should America be involved and why should we care?
Well, the current chaos in Sudan dates back a few years. Let's go back to 2019, when some of the generals who are not involved in the current fighting overthrew in a coup d'etat the longtime dictator of Sudan, Omar al-Bashir. He was a Muslim Brotherhood dictator of Sudan for at least 3 decades, who was the one, by the way, in the early 1990s who brought Sunnis and Shiites together to begin the plans that eventually would lead to 9/11. But those generals who combined in that coup d'etat were supposed to transition over to civilian power. Well, in 2021, another coup d'etat occurred, same generals involved. No transition to civilian rule. Other plans were put forth, never leading to that civilian rule. Well, more recently now, the generals themselves have fallen out with each other. And so you've got the de facto ruler, or de facto president, I guess you'd say, of Sudan, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who is the head, of course, of the Sudanese armed forces, facing off against Lieutenant General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo. He goes by the nickname Hamedti, and he's the commander of this paramilitary rapid support forces. But they've taken their fighting, especially to the capital of Khartoum, with aerial bombardment of densely populated urban areas, explosions and gunfire all over the ground. And it goes on, although some ceasefires have been attempted at the moment, not sure if they're holding or not. But this has killed already hundreds of people, civilians, and injured thousands more. And so, as you say, Barry, people are trying to get out of Sudan any which way they can. To their credit, American special forces evacuated the U.S. Embassy staff and family, the Marine Guards, and some friendly other allied nationals too, over this past weekend. At the end of April, they made their way to Port Sudan on the Red Sea. Others are trying to get out the same way, but also fleeing to the west, fleeing to the south, to South Sudan. But your question about why does this matter to us? Well, one of the reasons is that there are something like 16,000 American citizens registered at the now closed U.S. Embassy in Khartoum. We don't know how many of them want to get out, are trying to get out, but 16,000 Americans are there or were there. The other reason is that great powers are getting involved, specifically Russia, for example, whose Wagner force, we know them from the fighting in Ukraine, are involved in Sudan. The other reason is that Port Sudan itself is a very strategic city, port on the Red Sea, just across from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, where, by the way, kudos to the Saudi royal family, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is helping to evacuate by ferry people who have gotten to Port Sudan, ferry them across the Red Sea to safe haven, at least temporarily, in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. But that port is extremely important itself because of its strategic location on the Red Sea. A lot of other factors, but maybe that'll get us going for the moment.